You open your eyes to a world that feels like a horror movie set. The air is bitterly cold, and your breath forms small clouds that vanish instantly. You try to stretch your numb fingers, but they ache with pain. You look around. There are no buildings, no cars, no friendly faces. Just dense, dark forest and the distant echo of howling predators. Your first instinct is to grab your phone to call for help, but there is no phone, no GPS, no flashlight app, no map. You are alone, completely, hopelessly alone. The Stone Age wasn't a weekend camping trip. It was a daily battle against everything nature threw at you: freezing nights, searing heat, disease-ridden water, and beasts that viewed you as lunch. Every step you take is dangerous. You don't have shoes designed with modern cushioning. Don't even have proper clothes. Ancient humans wore crude animal skins, often stiff and heavy, sometimes not even enough to fully protect them from frostbite. You, meanwhile, are used to heated rooms and soft blankets. You'd be shivering uncontrollably before the sun even rises. At night, you'd hear things that would freeze your blood: the deep growl of a cave lion, the high-pitched cackling of hyenas, or the sudden heavy steps of a predator you can't even see. There's no locked door to hide behind. Your only home might be a rough shelter of branches or a dark cave if you're lucky enough to find one before something finds you. During the day, the sun would beat down on you relentlessly. Dehydration would set in quickly, and the only water around might be crawling with parasites and bacteria. Your stomach would cramp, you'd vomit, and you'd grow weaker with every passing hour. Then there's the terrain itself. Every path is rugged, filled with sharp rocks and hidden pits. One twisted ankle could mean a slow, painful death. You wouldn't be able to hunt or escape predators. There's no emergency room or rescue helicopter. If you get injured, you're on your own. You might think you'd just climb a tree or hide in a cave, but even that's not safe. Trees can be full of venomous insects or dangerous animals. Caves might already have predators inside, or other humans who won't take kindly to a stranger appearing in their territory. And remember, you're not strong. Modern humans are physically weaker than our ancestors. We have less muscle density, lower bone strength, and no practice in using raw tools. If you think you can fashion a spear from a branch, you'll find out very quickly that it's not as simple as it looks in the movies. Above all, there's the crushing loneliness. No friends, no tribe, no loved ones to support you. Every breath you take is a reminder that you're an alien here, a fragile, unprepared outsider in a world that doesn't want you. So as you huddle in the cold, trying to keep your eyes open against the darkness, ask yourself, would you really survive a single sunrise? Most of us wouldn't. We'd break before the morning came. Morning breaks. And if you somehow made it through the terrifying night, congratulations, but your problems are only just beginning, because now your body is screaming for energy. You are hungry in a way you've never experienced before. In the modern world, you're used to reaching for a granola bar or ordering delivery. But here there's no pantry, no fridge, no drive-thru. Your survival depends entirely on what you can find or kill with your own hands. You look around and spot some berries. They look juicy and inviting, but are they safe? In the Stone Age, the knowledge of which plants were edible and which were deadly wasn't just a fun fact. It was the difference between life and death. Eat the wrong berries, and you're not just getting a stomachache. You might hallucinate, vomit violently, or die in excruciating pain. Then there's hunting. You might imagine yourself as some primal warrior with a handmade spear, taking down a deer in a single throw. Reality check. It took years of practice and collective teamwork to hunt successfully. Ancient humans trained from childhood to track animals, understand their movements, and work as a coordinated group. Even if you somehow manage to fashion a crude spear, your chances of getting close enough to a large animal without spooking it or being attacked are nearly zero. One swipe from a wild boar or a kick from a terrified deer can break your ribs or leave you bleeding out in the mud. Maybe you think you could fish, but you don't have a net, a line, or even a basic hook. You're not used to waiting silently in freezing water for hours while risking hypothermia. You'd be fighting off insects, leeches, and even crocodiles or giant prehistoric fish, depending on where you landed. All right, what about insects or small critters? Cues. Insects are protein-rich and have been a vital food source for many ancient humans, but would you really be ready to chew on wriggling beetles and maggots? Could you stomach biting into a frog or grabbing a handful of worms from under a log? Let's say, by some miracle, you catch something. Now you need to cook it, but you don't know how to make fire without matches or a lighter. Ancient humans mastered the art of fire-making through painstaking trial and error over generations. Rubbing sticks together or striking stones might sound simple until you try it with shaking, frozen hands, and no prior skill. Even water is an enemy here. You might find a stream and drink deeply, only to discover it's full of parasites that will make you violently ill. Ancient humans developed some resistance and had knowledge of which water sources were safer, but you'd be curled on the ground within hours, fighting diarrhea, dehydration, and unstoppable cramps. If all this wasn't bad enough, there's the constant threat of being attacked while you're hunting or gathering. You're low on the food chain here. While you're fumbling with a stick, saber-tooth cat or a giant bear might be stalking you from the shadows. You wouldn't just be fighting hunger, you'd be fighting sheer terror. Your body would weaken rapidly without calories, and each failed attempt would push you closer to collapse. After a day or two, the hallucinations would start. You'd feel dizzy, shiver uncontrollably, and eventually, you might not even have the energy to stand at that point. You'd become easy prey, not for an ancient predator, but for the cold, for infection, or simply for starvation itself in the Stone Age. Survival wasn't about going off-grid for fun. It was a brutal, relentless contest against nature, where failure meant death quickly or slowly, but always painfully. You might still believe you could push through and adapt, but ask yourself, could you truly kill an animal with your bare hands, skin it, gut it, and cook it without tools? Could you eat insects when your body screams in disgust? Could you drink muddy, parasite-filled water just to stay alive another day? If the answer is no, then by the second sunrise, you're already as good as gone. Let's say you somehow make it through the hunger, the cold, and the predators. You've managed to find a few scraps of food, and your body is still barely moving. But now another enemy starts to stalk you, one you can't see, can't hear, and can't fight off with a sharp stick disease in the Stone Age. Infections were a silent death sentence. Even the tiniest cut from a sharp rock could turn into a festering, pus-filled wound that would slowly poison your entire body. You wouldn't have alcohol wipes, bandages, or antibiotics. You wouldn't even have clean water to rinse the wound properly. A simple twisted ankle could leave you immobilized. Without crutches, without painkillers, every step would feel like stepping on fire. If you couldn't move, you couldn't gather food or escape predators. You'd be stuck, alone, waiting for death to arrive, either in the form of starvation, a wild animal, or a creeping infection turning your blood septic. Parasites would also become your new roommates. Lice, fleas, and worms thrived on ancient humans. You'd feel them crawling on your skin, biting you while you sleep, burrowing into your flesh and intestines. Every day your strength would fade as your body fought these invaders without any medicine. Then there's waterborne diseases. Drinking from a random stream could introduce parasites like Giardia, or bacteria like E. coli. These wouldn't just make you feel sick, they'd dehydrate you rapidly through violent diarrhea and vomiting, leaving you too weak to even stand. And let's not forget the fevers. Malaria, for example, existed long before modern humans. Your body would burn, your vision blur, and you'd feel trapped inside your own skull. Shaking uncontrollably on the cold ground, broken bones, forget about it. In the Stone Age, there were no x-rays, no casts, no skilled doctors. A broken leg meant you couldn't hunt, couldn't gather, and couldn't defend yourself. You'd likely be left behind or simply die where you fell. To make things worse, you wouldn't have a community to help you heal. Ancient humans relied heavily on their tribes for survival. They cared for each other because they had no choice. It was live together or die alone. You, dropped into this world with no social ties, would have nobody to watch your back, share food, or keep you warm. You might think, I'll just stay in a cave and rest until I heal. But caves were often occupied by dangerous animals or rival humans. Even if empty, the cold and damp air would slow your recovery and invite pneumonia. You also wouldn't have the mental support we rely on today. No comforting words, no hot soup, no soothing hands to hold. Just endless, excruciating hours lying in the dirt, watching the shadows grow longer as you fade away. In the modern world, we take survival for granted. Cut, a bandage, and some ointment, a fever, a pill, and a warm bed. In the Stone Age, each injury or illness was a gamble with death. Your biggest enemy wouldn't always be a saber-tooth predator lurking in the dark. Sometimes it would be the tiniest bacteria, the smallest parasite, or the sharp edge of a stone. It wasn't just about physical strength, it was about knowledge, experience, and group support. Without those, you wouldn't last long as you lie there, shivering and feverish. You'd start to realize the brutal truth. The Stone Age didn't offer second chances. If you somehow beat the elements, outlast the hunger, and dodge disease, there's still one final gauntlet: the people. You might imagine ancient humans as friendly, peaceful gatherers, welcoming you into their tribe with open arms. But the truth? The Stone Age was a social minefield where weakness could mean death. Tribes didn't have space for freeloaders or strangers. Every member had to prove their worth through hunting skill, tool-making, gathering, or childcare. You wouldn't walk in and earn respect just by showing up. To them, you're a liability. You eat food but can't hunt. You take warmth but can't contribute. You make noise that might attract predators. The harsh reality? You'd be seen as a threat or dead weight, and they wouldn't hesitate to drive you away, or worse. Early human groups were tightly knit, formed around blood ties and shared survival. Outsiders were met with fear and aggression because they brought disease, competition, and danger. The idea of helping everyone is a modern luxury. In a world of scarce resources, altruism had strict limits. Even within the group, life was brutal. Disputes weren't settled with calm debates. They often ended with fists, rocks, or sharpened bones. If you challenged a stronger member or disrupted group cohesion, you might be exiled or killed on the spot. Hierarchy ruled everything. The strongest hunters held power. The best toolmakers commanded respect. The elders held knowledge that meant life or death. You'd be at the absolute bottom, the fragile newcomer with no skills, no alliances, and no social credit. Imagine trying to explain your modern skills. I know how to code, or I can manage a spreadsheet. You'd be met with blank stares before being chased out into the dark. Alone again. Even if they tolerated you for a while, you'd constantly face tests of strength and loyalty. Fail a hunt, you're shamed. Show fear, you're weak. Try to keep some food hidden for yourself, you're a traitor. Every mistake chips away at your fragile place in the group at night. Around the fire, you'd hear the whispers and laughter all about you. You'd feel eyes on you constantly, every move scrutinized. There's no privacy, no comfort zone, no a moment where you can truly let your guard down. The social stress alone could break you faster than hunger or cold. Humans today are used to support systems and empathy. Stone Age tribes had no patience for the weak. You wouldn't just be fighting nature, you'd be fighting to keep a place in a ruthless social hierarchy that had zero forgiveness for outsiders. When we think of primitive humans, we imagine simplicity. But the reality was a harsh, unyielding social battleground. If you can't fight for your place, you won't get one. In the Stone Age, you wouldn't just be fighting to stay alive. You'd be fighting to be seen as human at all. By now, you're exhausted, starving, sick, terrified. If you've somehow survived nature, hunger, and the social gauntlet, you're finally forced to face one last truth. You are a soft, modern creature, sculpted by comfort. Every hardship in the Stone Age carved our ancestors into survival machines. The constant threat of death shaped their bodies: stronger bones, denser muscles, sharper instincts. Their minds were wired for immediate danger and brutal decision-making. They learned to cooperate when it meant survival, to kill without hesitation. When it meant protecting the group, to adapt to new environments with raw determination. Meanwhile, we evolved in cities. We built walls, invented medicine, and created systems to protect the weak. We rewarded empathy, nurtured cooperation, and learned to depend on technology rather than pure physical ability. Your ancestors were built for the chase, the hunt, and the long migrations across frozen plains. You're built for scrolling, clicking, and streaming. You inherited a body that forgot how to wrestle with raw wilderness. The Stone Age was an unrelenting evolutionary boot camp. Those who faltered, hesitated, or got sick didn't just fail, they vanished from the gene pool forever. When we romanticize the past, life was simpler. Purer, we forget that it was also short, violent, and merciless. Every scar on our DNA is a memory of ancestors who clawed their way forward through unthinkable suffering. The people who survived became stronger. Those who didn't became fossils. And that's the final punchline. You are the product of survivors. But you are not a survivor yourself. Comfort softened you. Convenience dulled you. Technology cradled you. In the Stone Age, you wouldn't last. A week, maybe not even a day. So the next time you imagine yourself as a primal warrior hunting mammoths with heroic bravery, remember this. You wouldn't survive 24 hours. You wouldn't even survive the first sunrise.